Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash, and I'm here today with Dante Ricci. Dante is the Senior Director for Public Services at SAP. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're here at FedTalks 2016 talking about a lot of things related to federal IT. And I guess one of my first questions for you, Dante, is how have you seen the game change for federal IT in 2016? And maybe what surprised you this year?
Yeah, what I saw is a better focus on cybersecurity, elimination of shadow IT, winning the talent war, and getting more digital natives into the federal government. And then last, but not least, is the use of digital technologies and planning for the strategic value of those and bringing those into the agencies.
Mm-hmm. And anything surprise you?
The biggest thing surprised me, I think, would be really the speed at which government is transforming.
Mm-hmm.
I think the acceleration is there to really get an enterprise feel for how they need to transform into a digital environment,
Mm-hmm.
meeting citizens' needs the way they need to in a commercial organization. They are still lagging behind a little bit, but I'm not surprised that they're lagging, but they need to a little bit because they're a little bit more risk averse and they're protecting the taxpayers' money. So I think that's good. But the big surprise was the acceleration of digital transformation in my mind.
No, I think that was an important quality of 2016. Well, as you know, we're talking a lot about cybersecurity again this year, and but what's interesting now is the appointment of a new Chief Information Security Officer,
Right.
and some continued evolution on the policies of cybersecurity. So my question for you is, how can industry help support that?
Well, there's a couple things we could do. First is we need to make software and our platform secure so they can run their mission, not worry that we have gaps and holes in our products.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, and this may be common sense, but we need to stay ahead of the game, ahead of the curve as a vendor to supply those net new capabilities at the speed at which they're changing in the cyber world. And then the third piece is really around working in the ecosystem with the federal government, because they bring a unique perspective on what they need to do to fight these issues. And then we bring a unique perspective because we work with other vendors, other companies outside the federal government where we can bring in some best practices.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the three main things.
Yeah, certainly you get to see a big picture view that can be very constructive.
Right.
Well, not to talk politics, but we are on the cusp of an election and a new administration. And but regardless of who's in office come January, how can industry continue to play a role to make sure that some of the advances we've made in IT and government continue into the new year?
Well, that's a great question. I think one of the things we have to think about when we're talking about those advances in the transformation of government is we have to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So the transition is going to happen regardless of who wins. The question is, how do we help them become transition without disruption and continue to meet the mission the way they need to, but also work with the new people that are appointed and also the new players within the federal government to understand truly from their perspective what needs to change, what needs to take place or continue to take place, and then how we could really give them a vision of how they can move forward. How do you reimagine your business models in new ways? How do you reimagine business processes in new ways? How are we going to bring the new employees that we're bringing from the digital age into the workforce quicker? And so some of these policies may change as time goes on, and we need to work with them on those and bring our perspectives to them, and of course, keep them at the center of everything we do.
Makes a lot of sense. We also talked today about IT modernization, and just wondering, you've been in the marketplace a long time. What's your sense of why IT modernization has become such an important topic this year, and what does government really actually need to prioritize when it thinks about modernizing?
Okay, well, the thing when you think about when you think of modernization is how are you going to meet the mission better? And some of the things we've done in the past as the federal government, state governments, local governments, is the fact that we've created a lot of programs, but some of those have been isolated or siloed in nature. So you're building one-off integrations between these different programs, and you're not getting a full view across the data sources that you need. So that's one point of modernization. The second is you really have to think about how you bring these digital technologies in without disrupting the mission, without disrupting the workforce. And modernization is an ongoing issue. It's not okay, now we have the Modernization Act, now we're going to really modernize. It's a continuous process. I think the difference is the focus and the convergence by the government to really set aside some time to really think about what needs to be modernized. And I think the technologies are there. You're seeing BI and transaction platforms together, being able to change the game. You're seeing mobile, cloud, and social, things we didn't see 5 years ago that are relevant today.
Great. And lastly, what do you see ahead for federal IT in 2017, or maybe just a key priority?
The key priority is breaking down those organizational silos. We have to have one answer for certain questions, whether it's using qualitative information and quantitative information together, but we have to bring those data sources together. And I think the need is there and the recognition of that need is there. The second thing I think we're going to see is the evolution of mixing the foundational platform to make sure that you have, when you have a long-term strategy, that you don't have to throw away the old legacy systems, but rather build on top of that without disruption. So what I mean by that is you have to have the ability within your platform to be able to change things, add new capabilities to a digital core, if you will, transform the way you need when you need around the fringe of those particular capabilities, IT capabilities. And then on top of that, you need to be able to be agile enough using those. So using a digital core to transform, using those different capabilities. But separately, what I see in 17 is, and what I've seen in 16 and going into 17 is, how do we change the policies around acquisition to make it faster? How do we change the policies to change with the technology that's changing? Because some of the way the government bought in the past was really around infrastructure technology and application technology that have evolved to the point where there needs to be a total redo of where the policy is to get to those technologies quicker and then bring them in at the speed of the technology change.
That's a great point. Well, Dante, Ricci, really appreciate your being with us today.
It was great being with you.
Yeah, I'm Wyatt Cash with FedScoop TV. Look for more of our interviews on fedscoop.com. Thanks for being with us.